Good morning, or as the Germans would say, Guten Morgen, from the beautiful German countryside where it's raining. And I'm driving a Porsche, a 911, the iconic Porsche, the iconic supercar. Up front, I have to tell you, I am a Porsche purist. I love the brand more so than, well, if I had a shout out, I'd say that, but I love these cars, I really do. I love the passion that's built into the car, into every single design that they have, every iteration, as well as I am absolutely fascinated of just how each car is somehow connected to the original car. It all started with the Type 64 actually. You know, it was built in the 1920s, it was actually pre-war. It was the iconic shape that we see today. So what makes it so special? Well, you gotta look at the layout, the balance. Well, first off, the motor is behind me. So why put that motor in the back? Well, it comes down to one simple reason: traction. When you accelerate, the front of the car lifts off, and the back tires get most of the weight. And that's where you need traction. That's where the power is being delivered. Now, of course, this is a 911 with four-wheel drive. This is the Carrera 4S. So, yeah, you don't really need it as much as you would with a rear-wheel drive Porsche, but it helps. The acceleration of this 3.8 is unbelievable. It's only about 355 horsepower, but the power delivery is phenomenal, and there's a sensation unlike any other car I've ever driven. And if you've driven a 911, you know that sensation that when you go around the turn, even if it's wet, there's something that, because that engine's in the back, it's almost as if you're being pulled through the turn. It's a very weird sensation, especially, for example, if you drive 911s all the time, and this has happened with quite a few of my friends, where you're out on the track and then you get into a car that's not a 911, and then you immediately spin it. Why? Well, because when you're driving a 911, it's all about getting out of the turn as fast as you can. That's why the engine's in the rear, the traction. So, when you feel like it's about to give out, you give it more power. You squat that ass end down. And by doing so, it's like you're getting slingshot around the corner. You do that in a conventional front engine car, you're gonna spin it because more power with less weight on the back wheels. Whoop. These German back roads in the rain, I could not tell you how much fun I'm having. Now, of course, I need to talk about the car and not just have fun. So, as I'm having that fun, let me tell you, mounted to the 3.8 liter flat 6 in the Carrera 4S is the 7-speed dual clutch PDK transmission. Now, what do you need to know about this transmission that's important? Well, I love my manuals. I love shifting through the gears, but the PDK, for speed, if you're going on the track, and for the best performance, I don't care what you say, no one can shift a manual transmission as fast as this PDK. Now, they've made some upgrades since the initial PDK came out on the 911 a few years ago. First and foremost, paddles. Those buttons on the wheels just were a little bit too confusing. The paddles really make this car come alive now. This feels proper. This feels like a proper racing transmission. Up on the right, down on the left. That's all you need to know. It's fantastic. The thing you need to remember about the 911 platform is that it's an iteration, it's a revision over a very long extended platform of cars. Now, between the 996 and this, the 997 chassis, you really couldn't tell much. The headlights were different, the taillights were different. It kind of all looked the same. A lot of people question, well, what's the difference? It's all the fine improvements. You know, that's what makes Porsche, Porsche. When you buy a Carrera, a stock Carrera, you're buying the research and development for the entire line of 911s, all the way up to the GT2, GT3 RS. Even the race car, the GT3 Cup car, they're all based off the same chassis. So if you buy the base Carrera, the cheapest end, you're getting a lot of the development costs for a very good price. Now, it's all the small things that let you know that this car is connected to motorsports on every level. So, example, the key, the ignition on all Porsches for that matter, is on the left-hand side. It's there because, well, in the old days of racing, you actually had to run to your car before starting the race. And in order to save time, instead of having to turn the ignition and then put it in gear, the Porsche method was, well, you've got two hands, use them both. Left hand ignition, right hand put the car into gear. Saves a second, and in motorsports, especially at the start, that's an eternity. So that's my review of the 911. I know I didn't give you much of the stats and figures. Well, to be honest with you, you can do your own research. If you're going to be buying this car, you pretty much have done that research, so I don't need to tell you. What I wanted to convey is the significance, the feel of what it's like to have a 911, to drive one. Why it's important to know certain things about it. And I hope that this review has kind of transcended the facts and figures, and you see my emotion while driving one, and that alone should depict what this car is like. So, from Germany, with the 911 C4S cab, I'm JF Musial, and that has been FLDetours.